Welcome to Archery Talk 101 podcast, your guide to better archery skills. We'll bring you the latest tips, tricks, and expert advice, but that's not all. We'll also have interviews with top archers and industry professionals and reviews of the latest gear and equipment and much more. Thanks, Isabel. Hey, I think we're recording and we're going live. Hey, we're going to talk about our lessons that I've been going through. This is going to be lesson number 7. In the past, we've talked about other things, and my goal to make you a better archer, and that's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be host today on Archer Talk 101, and this is lesson 7. Now we've kind of go over what we've covered so far. In lesson 1, we did our proper foot placement and how to hold the bow, because that's important. How your feet are aligned, how you're holding the bow is the first step. Once you learn that, then you can go on, next step. And then we went in lesson 2, went into how to use a release aid, whether it's a wrist strap, a proper placement for the wrist strap on your wrist, not your hand, the handheld releases. And if you do fingers, that's something different. But most compounds you're not going to shoot with fingers, especially the new ones you can't, the older ones you can. And then we talked about anchor point. Where are you going to anchor on your face? You just need to be consistent. And we talked about that in lesson 3. Also talked about setting your peep height. If you're going to use a peep, how to set it to make sure it's in the right position, and then drawing your bow, the correct way to draw your bow. I showed the way I do it. You may change a little bit. This is all up to you on how you're doing it, what works best for you. So this is just some ideas to get you going. This is how I do it. This is how I teach it. Then we modify it, for each individual. Then in lesson 4, we went over how to take a video, because if you can't see what's going on, then how do you know if you're doing it like you want to? Where can you improve? So taking a proper video is important on that. And in lesson 5, it went through on setting up your rest, the correct way to set up rest, and kind of some shortcuts and way to set up your sight. And then we went into on lesson 6, the last one we did, we talked about how to adjust your sights, shooting the horizontal, vertical lines, and all kind of other options. But in this one here, we're going to talk about some practice techniques. So what I want to do is on some of the techniques, you're going to make sure that you can be safe. And if you don't have somebody that can be there with you to ensure safety, make sure that there's no way anybody can get in between you and your target. Because we're going to start off with, we're going to get close to the target. So you can just bend forward, grab your arrow, pull it back out, shoot it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the proper hand technique. Now, we're going to get all your release hooked up, whatever release you're going to use. Beginners, I would recommend the wrist strap. And now you're going to go through the whole thing. Close your eyes. As you're going through the whole process, close your eyes. That's why I said you need somebody to make sure that nobody walks in front of you. So close your eyes, draw back, get to that position. And now make sure you have your finger in the correct position, up to the second knuckle, not on the tip. If you're using a wrist strap or your hands in there, don't use your thumb to pull the trigger so that you have it buried in enough so that you don't do that. And now just start squeezing and feel if that bow goes off. Open your eyes, pull your arrow. Keep doing that until you can feel that surprise going off. Once you see that surprise going off where you don't know when it goes off because you're not anticipating, because there's nothing there to aim at. And now then there's no target. It's a completely blank target. No symbols, no images, no nothing. If you have to take like you have a target you're shooting into, and normally they have, the spots on them, cover it up with a piece of old white sheet or something. So let's just have just a plate surface. There's nothing on it. And actually the best is if you go ahead and pull your sight off, because now what you're going to do is you're going to draw back. You're going to feel that form. Oh, this feels good. This is what we've been talking about. We're feeling about. Now, what you can do to know what that form feels like, you go back and aim and let somebody else pull the trigger for you. That's going to be a total surprise. So once you can feel that with your eyes closed, now open your eyes. You have no pins on there because you don't have any pins, because that would make you start trying to aim. And now all you do is looking at the target, which is completely blank. and you're going to shoot. If you don't feel that same form, close your eyes, shoot until you feel again, open your eyes. Until you can open your eyes and feel that same technique going off, you can't go any further because now when you open your eyes, you're not following through with the technique. So now once you've got through that, where eyes closed, eyes open, doesn't matter. You still want to make your perfect form that you're going to use. And now once you've done that, put your sight back on. Still no target to aim at, nothing to aim at. It's just a complete blank, blank target. And now if the pin's on there, look at your target. Don't look at your pins. Look at your target. The pins are going to be in front of your view, but you're not going to focus. I'm going to just look at the target. And now shoot until you can see what's going on. Now, if you don't feel that same thing you did with no sight, close your eyes and shoot. I don't want you putting the sight on and off all the time. So now close your eyes, feel the form, open your eyes, see the pins. And now once you get to where now you can have um, that technique down. Now I know earlier we talked about setting your pin, um, but this is something you can do, before you put the pins on, sight on or after. Once you get them all set, where the pins are pretty close, because most of us like to, hit what we're aiming at. So now once you've got that where you can do that same feeling in that bow going off, where you're concentrating on the target, not your pins. And now once you get to that point, now then let's step back a little bit, because we're going to shooting with our eyes open most of the time. So now put a target, just a small dot, because you're really close to the target still. So take just like one of those little target stickers, or little tags that are like an inch or less, or half inch, or 3/4 of an inch, and put that on your target. Now, because you're so close, you're never going to hit it, but you don't care where you hit. So now come back, look at the target, and put that pin over it and shoot. If it don't feel the same, close your eyes and shoot. Close your eyes and shoot. Open your eyes up, put that pin over that target, aim at it. Now, once you start getting that in that same spot, now when you pull that arrow, you aim at that same spot again. Your arrow's most likely going to be in the same hole, or very close to the same hole. So now once you get all that technique down, where now you're aiming, and now you can hit your target without the panic going in, or whatever you want to call it. But as your eyes are closed, you feel that technique, eyes open, and aiming at a target, feel the same technique. If you don't, close your eyes, shoot, open your eyes and shoot. And just use one arrow because you're so close. Good chance you're going to wreck arrows if you don't use but just one. And the reason we want to make sure the sight is set, because you want that arrow to leave as clean as you can, because you're shooting so close. Now, if you do notice it kind of being off a little bit, that's something we can look at too. Maybe your rest is off a little bit, or you're gripping or something. But you want to make sure now that we have that all set up, where eyes closed, eyes open, makes no difference. Now, this may take you several times at the range shooting in order to be able to do that. Now, if you're at a regular range that's 20 yards away, if they have a portable target you can bring up real close, you shoot that. If not, then find some place where you can shoot, in your basement or outdoors or whatever. Outdoors, you got to make sure you have somebody with you. This is something that you want to have somebody with you. And it'd be nice if they had the camera recording you while you're doing this. And you can see, okay, this is what I'm doing with my eyes closed. This is what I'm doing with my eyes open, all the different stages, record them. And now then you have kind of a history of what you've been doing, and now you can go back and look at it. And then one of the things I always carried with me when I was doing 3Ds is a string that was my draw length, hooked around my thumb, and I'd shoot, and it should leave my hand straight towards the target. If it doesn't, then I know my form is off. So that's something you can do a quick check on your form and get it back into shape if you're having a little trouble with it. So now that we've done that up close, now we can start moving back. And we're going to move back and back. And once you get back to 20 yards, you're still doing that same thing, same technique, except now your pin should be hitting where you're aiming, because we set the pins earlier. So now we're going to be shooting at that single spot. Because we're shooting at that single spot, we had that 1 inch wide or 3/4 inch wide horizontal and vertical lines. Well, if your dot is still that same 3/4 of an inch, and you were hitting that horizontal line consistently or hitting the vertical line consistently, you should be able to hit that same diameter of circle consistently. It's just, shooting at the horizontal vertical at the same time, except just that center part. So now shoot at that, and then now you're practicing on that, and then see what your form is doing. And then if you ever have any problem, go back, and if you really have problems, you're struggling with it, take your sight off, go right up and shoot with your eyes closed, open them up in no sight, and then go through the whole process again. If you're struggling, if you get where you're struggling with one of the sections, start over and then work back through it again, where you're going to start with your closest target and then just work your way back. So maybe like we talked about to start with, go so close you can just bend over, grab your arm, pull it, shoot your eyes, take your sight off, and go through eyes closed, eyes open, eyes closed, eyes open. If those feel the same, then put your sight back on. No target to shoot at. And if that's still feeling the same, then put your spot back up there and shoot it, and then start moving back. So you can always go back and redo all that if you need to. Sometimes you might have a situation where you want to go back and do that, just for a practice. And I've talked to some archers that they start off their practice with their eyes closed, make sure their form feels like it should, and then go through, then go through different things, different practice techniques. But that's one thing you want to do to make sure your form is the best it can be, and anything you can do to make it be consistent. That's where setting up a camera. If you have a tripod, you can set your camera up. You can get a good view. If you're doing it by yourself, so that you can do that. Try and get something where you can see what's going on at different angles. And if you see something that you're having a problem with, make sure focus on that and make sure work on that until you can get that technique down. Um, you know, and if there's any problems you have, you can't really tell what's going on correctly or incorrectly, upload your video to the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, because that's what we do, is we help you. So don't feel like you need to, um, struggle on your own. There's a lot of us that are out here to help you. Pretty much every archer I've interviewed on here says, yeah, you have any questions, get a hold of me. We're all here to help you, and that's what this podcast is about, and what the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group is about. That's just what we want to do, is we want to help you. Like we say over here over here, it's the Arch Talk 101 podcast, your guide to better archery skills. Whether you're never shot a bow before or Olympic archer, this is we want this to be your guide to be better. I've looked at some forums that there's like really not much wrong with it, but I see one little bitty thing that maybe let's try changing that a little bit. But we don't have video, we don't know. So go ahead and let us know, where you're at. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this one, is ways that you can work on that form. I know when I first started back tension release, they had um, probably 20 of us or so along the backstop, also with eyes closed. But we were close enough that all we had to do was just lean forward, grab our arrow, and pull. So there wasn't any distance in there. So we're just so close that, by the time you're at full draw, you're not too far away from the backstop. And we'd shoot. And that's what I went through. Was I would have my eyes closed, and then, okay, I feel this. Okay, this is what we've been talking about. This is what it's supposed to feel like. Open my eyes. Yeah, it didn't feel like that anymore. So I went through. That's what I was talking about, going through all that. You say, close your eyes and then open them up. Close your eyes, open them up, and then you finally get it. And then from there, then we start working on other techniques. But that was one of the things that helped develop the form. And then there's a lot of things in there. Each person has their own physical limitations and advantages. Everybody's got an advantage or disadvantage in their physical abilities. And the idea is, let's work through them, figure out what your advantages are, and magnify those. And what your disadvantages are, let's figure out how to turn them around so now they're not a disadvantage. So take a look at what you're struggling at. We're going to go through and we're going to help you. You just got to let us know how we can help. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in this lesson. The next lesson, I'll talk about some other techniques we can use for getting a little bit better at shooting. Um, but this stage here, we want to make sure your form is correct and consistent. Now, correct isn't necessarily the way I do it or the way I teach it. Correct form is what you can do consistently every shot. The more consistent you are, the better your groups are going to be, and the more fun you're going to have. So just let you know, there's besides being in Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, which we're live there now, so they can get this now. If you go out to the Spotify as well as Audible, and I think on Apple Podcasts and other places, I post them up to Spotify and they send them out to other places. You can get that, and those come out on Friday and Monday mornings. So they're available at 6 a.m. Central Time. I don't know what time you're in, but they come out 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't record them at 6 in the morning, but that's when they come out. They're available. And then the video, like I said, is available in the Arch Talk 101 group, Facebook group now. You can watch it live or you can watch a recording of it. That's available anytime you go in there in that group. If you're not in that group or don't want to, go in the group to find it or whatever, you can go out to my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself. And out there I have all kinds of stuff besides archery. If you go into the main one, you can see, Arch Talk one, the Arch Talk 101 podcast. And in there you'll see all the different podcasts. You go look at them. If you want to, you can also go out into one of the options says podcast, and there's just the podcast. That's all the podcasts go in there. I've got it set up where it automatically loads when I send out a podcast up to Spotify. Then it automatically sends it over to YouTube for that. That's something I just set up here, about a week ago. So that's nice. That's one way you can get them. Two ways you can get them on that channel, as well as you can go out to archtalk101.com. There is videos out there as well as other things. The podcasts go out there. It's not quite as consistent of a posting out there, but I do get them out there. I have to wait for them to actually come out before I can post them up there. That's the other place you can go, and you can always check out check out everything else and let us know. Put a comment. What are your techniques? I'd like to know what your techniques are for helping your form, developing your form. What are you going through to figure out how you're going to make your form better, what you use to make it consistent, and stuff like that. So, comment either in the group or on the podcast or on the one of the videos. I'd like to hear, your thoughts on what's going on with it. So let's make everybody a better archer and have a lot of fun while we're doing it. Um, so that'll be it for this one. Stay tuned for the next one. This one I think should come out this following Monday, and then the next one will come out the following Friday. So stay tuned. So this will be out in I think it's Monday, probably the 11th is when this one will come out, on March 11th, and then the other one will be that Friday. So stay tuned for that, and we'll do one on a little bit better or a little bit different shoot practice techniques. So thanks for listening and watching. My name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Arch Talk 101.